What up, football fans, and welcome to episode 4 of Instant Replay, where I plan to review the premiere week of the 2017 NFL season, answer some fantasy questions for you guys, and give you my predictions for week 2. So if you guys saw last week's video, you heard my week 1 predictions. I ended up going 10-5 in those, and given that week 1 is always a little bit janky, I think 10-5 is a pretty solid start. One of the predictions that I was wildly wrong about is that I thought the Chiefs would go into New England and lose to last year's Super Bowl champs, the Patriots. Wrong. The Chiefs came away victorious, 42-27. Couple things I want to call out here. First of all, Kareem Hunt, y'all. Spencer Ware being placed on IR before the season even began put some serious pressure on Kareem Hunt to perform, and perform he did. 17 carries, 148 yards, 5 receptions, and a touchdown. He sure did a great job of making everybody forget that his first carry was a fumble. All of his fantasy owners had a heyday, I'm sure. And speaking of fantasy, I really hope you guys follow Fantasy Phenom. Shameless plug time. I told you guys last week, these guys really know their stuff, especially when it comes to DFS. In one of their videos last week, they projected Alex Smith to outperform Tom Brady, and by golly, they were right. I also predicted that the Texans would win at home over the Jaguars. However, despite losing wide receiver Allen Robinson in the first quarter to a torn ACL, Jacksonville managed to beat the Texans 29-7. The Jacksonville defense had 10 sacks, 4 turnovers, and a defensive touchdown. So what? My heartfelt condolences to you if you played against the Jacksonville defense in fantasy this week. And also to Tom Savage, who lost his job. Sorry. I had the Cardinals beating the Lions in Detroit, but I was wrong once again. If you guys watched this game, you know that running back David Johnson left with a wrist injury. Turns out that wrist injury was pretty significant. Johnson's expected to miss 2 to 3 months, and Arizona placed him on IR. Now, hopefully, you guys were scouring the waivers and managed to pick up Kerwin Williams, because he's expected to get the majority of the carries moving forward, even though the Cardinals also brought back Chris Johnson. The Ravens surprised me and ended up shutting out the Bengals 20-0. They did, however, lose running back Danny Woodhead to a hamstring injury that's going to keep him out of the game for about 6 to 8 weeks. And then lastly, in terms of last week's predictions, I had the Redskins winning, but the Eagles actually came out on top instead. Like I said, 10-5. Those are the 5 that I got wrong, but I got everything else right, so fantasy question time. I don't know what that was. Sorry. In a .3 PPR league, who should I start at tight end? Jason Witten versus Denver or Kyle Rudolph versus the Steelers? So the connection between Sam Bradford and Kyle Rudolph is very real. Now, as a Packer fan, I hate it. As a fantasy owner, I respect it. I would choose Kyle Rudolph here. Standard league, would you start Fitz or Tyrell Williams? So I would go with Larry Fitzgerald here. He's got that higher floor that you're going to want for a WR3 spot. Also, he's got a pretty favorable matchup, especially if the Colts defense that we saw on the field last week is the same one that shows up this week. All right, so last question. Week 1 was a rookie explosion. Hunt, Fournette, Cohen, Cook, Golladay, etc. Which rookies do you see crashing back to earth? I don't know that I can say with confidence that any of these rookies are going to fail fast. I feel like Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette, and Dalvin Cook are relatively safe and will continue to put up similar numbers. Admittedly, I didn't get to see much of Cohen or Golladay this past week as I was working at Lambeau Field during those games, so I'm not quite comfortable making a snap judgment on those guys yet. I'll let you know next week. That's it for fantasy questions, guys. Do you think you can beat me in fantasy football? Challenge accepted. You can use the referral links below to sign up for either DraftKings or FanDuel and send me a head-to-head matchup request. May the best man win, or woman. So finally, in my Week 2 predictions, I have the Bengals beating the Texans, the Ravens beating the Browns, Buccaneers over the Bears, Steelers over the Vikings, Patriots bouncing back and beating the Saints, Chiefs over the Eagles, Jaguars over the Titans, Cardinals over the Colts, Panthers over the Bills, Raiders beating the Jets, Chargers beating the Dolphins because I just don't know about Jay Cutler yet, Seahawks over the 49ers, Rams over the Redskins, Cowboys over the Broncos, Packers over the Falcons, and Lions over the Giants. Alright guys, you know the drill. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Like, share, comment on the video. Tell me what you like and what you don't like. Do you agree with my fantasy picks and game predictions or not? Tell me what you want to see in the next video, and I will see you next Thursday. I'm done.